everyone. Today we will be looking at referencing. What is referencing? Referencing is a method of locating the ultimate source of the information used in the development of the document you are working on. It is a method of combating plagiarism by acknowledging the contribution of authors in text your document. The main reasons for referencing is to ensure that the reader knows whose ideas they are using, to check information or make reference, and importantly, it gives the reader the opportunity to reproduce research following the citations. Based on the academic disciplines, the reference style may vary. Most commonly used include the Harvard referencing style, which is used in the academic writing, the American Psychological Association used in education, psychology, and sciences. This style is a variant of Harvard referencing. The Modern Language Association style, that is abbreviated MLA, is used in humanities, and the Chicago is used in business, history, and fine arts. Like I mentioned earlier, we reference to combat plagiarism, which is unacknowledged use of words and ideas from other authors. So to give a false impression that it belongs to you or it's your own ideas, it is illegal and it's equivalent to stealing. You may also think this might not be noticed by your instructor, but it is very easy to identify works from other sources in a document, and this is bridging intellectual property rights and may eventually earn you a 0 mark. What are the different forms of plagiarism? There are different types of plagiarism which exist. You have direct, you have plagiarism by paraphrase, by ideas, by solve, social media, ghostwriting, pollution. So when we talk about direct plagiarism, it's whereby someone else's work is copied word verbatim without acknowledgement. So plagiarism by paraphrase is whereby the document is paraphrased in writing in your own words, but again, it is not acknowledged. Self-plagiarism is when you as the author of a document duplicates your own work without disclosure. Social media is sharing information online that is owned by someone else without acknowledging that individual or that author, or copying information on social media and publishing it as your own. Ghostwriting is whereby you produce some other student's work or allow some other student produce your work. Collusion, it's whereby you submit an assessment or work produced by another student or group following a group engagement. Sometimes you have a group engagement or group assignment and you publish it as yours. So cheating in exams is copying from students or using unauthorized notes. So in order to avoid plagiarism, we must ensure that we protect intellectual property rights by acknowledging all the sources or ideas we have used in our writing. Several terminologies used in referencing. The first one is citation, which is referencing within a document. It is usually includes the author's name and date of publication. So we also have the footnote, which is reference to a source of information which appears at the bottom of the page, and it serves as a cross-reference to previous notes whereby you can look for other sources from the subject. For example, you can add an interesting comment to a sentence you've written. So in a footnote, you indicate a reference by putting a small number above the line of the type directly following the source of material. So most citation styles require you to use footnotes or endnotes in your paper. So with the endnote, it is written at the end, while the footnote could be found in every page. So this is an example of footnote in the written text. You can see you have the superscript, which is in line with the text. You have 1, you have 2. So at the end of the text, directly following the source of information, you have a line. The footnote is placed just below the line. So you would have also noticed that in the reference, the number is still written as a superscript, which corresponds to the footnote in the body text. So the reference is indented after double space, and then a space is added between the superscript number and the full reference. So you have the first name, the last name, the title, just the full reference as it is written. But then you can see here that the superscript 1, 2, they are written. Then you have a space before the full reference. So the reference list is the full description list of citations in a written document. This is a separate page found at the end of the document. A reference list shows on which authority you base the statement within the text. It gives the reader an idea on how much you are acquainted with the subject and how widely read you are with the subject. It is also a good starting point for anyone else wanting to find about the subject. So a reference list is usually listed alphabetically or it is numbered. And when we talk about alphabetically, usually the APA and Harvard style, for example, are written alphabetically, while when using the Vancouver style, the references are numbered. So we have a few illustrations. With the Harvard style example, you would notice that you have the surname of the author and the year in bracket in text. And then in the end list, you would have the full description of the reference. The APA style as well, you have the surname of the author and the year in text, and then the full reference in the end list. Important to note that even if Wang and colleagues were the first author in the text in the reference list, it will be written accordingly. With the Vancouver style referencing, you can see in text, we number the references, and then we number the references according to how it's in the text in the reference list with the full reference as well. So a bibliography is a detailed list of cited work in the document, and it includes a full description of all the citations in text, as well as additional sources which you may have read and not cited. Sometimes some references might not be included in the list of references, either because the reading was too broad, it's general information, or cannot be easily recovered. However, if you have quoted from a source, it must be included in the bibliography. So the information which might not be included, broad readings, which could also just be general information and all that. So different courses, you would realize that the decision to use either a reference list or bibliography or both may depend on the course. So it is important to first of all check with your instructor. Alphabetizing names. There are names that might be spelled similar. And in that case, we need to alphabetize them. For example, you have Roy and Rory. You would consider the alphabet precedes the other. So Roy precedes Rory. So you would consider Roy first, as opposed to Rory. Also with prefixes, we MC, MAC, this must be written as they are without adding a period. Also, we follow the rule of alphabetizing, meaning that if it's the MacArthur and a MacAllister, so the Mac MAC will precede the Mac MC, and so on and so forth. So surnames, which also include prepositions or other articles, you would just have to write them as they are, but follow the same principle of alphabetizing. Prepositions such as de la Rey, de Vries, and so on. So you could also have, when there are several works by the same author, it is arranged according to the year of publication and starting with the earliest listed first. So if there are more than one work from that same author, for example, sharing the same publication date, then it is arranged alphabetically according to the title. So you use the lowercase alphabet A, B, C, and so on. And then after the year. So for example, if it's Bota J 2001, so it will be 2001A and 2001B. So this 2001A, it's in bracket, the way it is going to be written, and then 2001B, and it would continue like that. And then we also need to understand that journal names and book names are always written in italics. However, if it is written by hand, then the journal name or the book name, if you cannot write it in italics, then you would have to underline it. So this is a few examples of basic text, in-text Harvard referencing. So when the reference in text, when the source, you simply just write the author, surname, and also the year of publication. So the page number can be included where possible. So these are examples of in-text reference with one author, where you have the surname of the author and the year. With two authors, the surname of the authors, that's the surname of the first author and the surname of the second author, comma, and the year. And then you also have the in-text with two or more authors, whereby you have the surname of the author, ethal. Ethal simply means and others. And then you have the year. So this is how it's written in text. You also have the in-text reference for web text. So in this case, if it's a website, you would write the full URL in bracket. If you know the author of the source, then you write the name of the author and the year. Now let's see how we can create a reference list. We will start with referencing a book. So referencing a book, you see you have the surname. First of all, I would want to pinpoint here that in creating a reference, you need to note that punctuations are extremely important. The surname, the punctuations, the initials, the year, the title of the book. If there is a subtitle, then you would have a colon and then the subtitle, and then the place of publication, you have a colon, the name of the publisher, and a full stop. So all the information regarding the book is usually immediately after the title page of the book. You can find all the information of the book. So let's look at referencing a book with two authors. So the surname written first on the book cover would obviously be the surname, the first name that you identify for that author's. And then the subsequent authors of that book. So it is usually presumed that the first name of the author has contributed more in the writing of that book. So in this case, we have the first author and the initial, the second author, and then the year, the name of the book, of course in italics, the place of publication, the name of the publisher. We note all the punctuations. So referencing a book with two or more authors. So you separate the authors with a full stop and a comma. So in this case, you would see the first one, you have the full stop and the comma, the full stop and the comma, and then the last author is second to the last author, you have a full stop, and then you have an and then the final author, a full stop, the year, the title of the book, there's a subtitle, in this case you have a subtitle, the place of publication, the name of the publisher, you have the different punctuations. So referencing an article in a journal, let's look at one author. Again, one author, you have the surname and the initials of the author, the year, the title of the journal article, the name of the journal article in italics. You have, you see the full stops. Then you have the volume, the issue, the page. One thing you also need to note with journal articles is that there is always a volume and a page. Issue numbers are also very important. However, some journals might not have issue numbers. The simple reason is issue numbers depend on the number of times it is published in a year. So it would be numbered according to, if it's 5 different times, then you would have maybe volume 1, it's 5 different issues. So it could be present in some journals, it could not be present in some other journals. And also we need to note here that the publisher's name or the place of publisher is not included in a journal article. It is only present in the book. And again, the volume is separated from the page with a column. So referencing an article in a journal with 2 or more authors, there you would have the surname and initials of the authors, you have the full stop and the comma, and then the second to the last author, you have a full stop after the initial, and then you have a full stop after the initial also of the last author. Then the year, the title, the name, the name of the journal, the title, and then you also have the volume and the page numbers. Note that with journal articles, you write out the page numbers, you don't use the PP as you do in books. So referencing a document from the internet, you would have the name of the authors, the year, the name of the article, when it is available. So you would write available from, you write the URL, and then when it was accessed. The access date is very important because sometimes 3 years down the line, what resource you have written, it's been checked and it cannot be found. Then somebody can look at the access date and assume that probably it could have been taken out from the internet also. So the access date is very, very important, especially with information in the internet. So the referencing a newspaper, article, report, or magazine, what you should pay attention here is the date and the year. So you would not just write the year, you have to write the date, the month, and the year. Remember that newspapers or magazines are published either weekly or daily or monthly. So if the date, the month, it's not written, then it might not be easy to trace. So you have the title of the article. You also have the name of the newspaper, which would be in italics, then the page number. So you would notice here that the name of the newspaper is in italics. So remember, we've spoken about the name of the journal in italics, the name of the book, the title of the book is in italics. So something must be in italics in the full reference list. So referencing a book with one editor, then you would write the name of the editor and you put in bracket ed. And then the year, the title of the book, the name of the publisher, and the place of publishing. With more than one editor, you write the names with an eds. So referencing newspaper article off the internet, then you would have to write the full reference and also include the URL and the access date. So this is an example of a full reference list. And these are the references we used in this presentation. Thank you for listening.